Good evening.
President Obama marked the milestone of a combat troop drawdown in Iraq in an Oval Office address.
The American combat mission in Iraq has ended. Operation Iraqi Freedom is over.
Although U.S. commitment is winding down in Iraq, up to 50,000 troops will stay as long as until the end of next year. The U.S. Army will also continue to build new military bases.
Having the bases there is a bit of a reassurance. If there was a war, they could rush in, like basically we happened in Saudi Arabia.
Despite the president's speech, this is by no means a victory for the Obama administration. U.S. troops will now work to train and support a shaky Iraqi government. And the tone coming from this White House is much different than the mission accomplished celebratory feeling expressed by the last administration. Mr. Obama contacted President Bush before his speech. One thing both presidents share is Iraq's political upheaval.
There could be a resurgence of sectarianism or other forms of violence that the Iraqi institutions, which are still somewhat fragile, may not be able to handle.
However, some experts say the announcement of a combat troop withdrawal is a farce. They point out that the remaining troops are just as militarily equipped as combat troops. They argue that the withdrawal of some combat brigades from Iraq is a redeployment to send more U.S. troops to Afghanistan. They also say thousands of U.S. private security contractors will take the helm in Iraq.
Why? Because they hope that there'll still be a reversal of the Iraqi government policy.
Since the Iraq War began, more than 4,400 U.S. troops have been killed and almost 32,000 wounded. More troops are expected to die despite the wind down of one of the nation's longest wars in history.
Like all Americans, I am awed by their sacrifice.
The White House is sticking to its deadline that all troops will return home at the end of 2011. The thinking is by then Iraqis will be able to defend themselves against militant threats.
I have some doubt that that the al-Maliki government, or the variant thereof, which is to follow, which will be a Shia-dominated government, is going to agree to keep combat troops in Iraq.
Meanwhile, anti-war activists believe that the U.S. should end all of its foreign occupations immediately.
If you're just saying you're going to leave at a certain time and that's a much better way to go.
And for most activists, that includes Afghanistan. U.S. involvement there is not expected to end until much later. Colin Campbell, The White House.